Are you okay? Kinzo still has some doubts that the sons of the Dragon King will come to challenge him to engage in a duel. No, absolutely not. This little dragon would never do that. Anthony reached out and pointed a finger at Kinzo's direction. It's you. You will engage in a duel with me now. Kinzo is very speechless. Why does this world have so much malice towards him? There are at least 7,000 to 8,000 cultivators present. How did he attract attention in the vast crowd? At this moment, waves of immortal sense and spiritual sense are probing towards him. Kinzo really wants to rush up and tear Anthony's mouth apart. Then stuff a few immortal melting pills and demon-suppressing bone-corroding pills into it. However, he still politely declined on the surface. But he didn't expect that this imperial prince would still persist relentlessly. Where exactly did I go wrong? He was just about to resort to stubbornly arguing with me, insisting on engaging in a duel. But the next second, the sect elder also advised him to give it a try. If he realized it was not going well, he could admit defeat. Self-preservation should be the top priority in all things. Kinzo thought that today's main character was Anthony. The other party chose him, probably to ensure a stable victory. Therefore, he decided to go up and give it a try. But he probably never expected that the other person's thoughts were surprisingly the same as his, wanting to lose on purpose. Let's see which of the two can win the Oscar for Best Actor this year. Kinzo and Dragon Prince face off in an intense showdown. Who will be the true Best Actor? At this moment, the two are thinking about how to avoid being discovered by others and losing in the duel. Anthony is thinking that he must show great momentum. The one who loses will suffer a miserable defeat. Come on, come and defeat me face to face so that you can strike against Dragon Palace and its people. Kinzo, on the other hand, had a sudden convulsion. The other party's aggressive gaze. Is it because I am not an immortal seed? If he killed me directly, the immortal sect's reaction wouldn't be too severe. This can also appease the Dragon Palace. This way, I have to hide my cultivation achievement and also pay attention to safety. The difficulty is a bit high. Kinzo currently conceals his cultivation, using his own unique turtle breath and chi regulation technique to perfectly match his performance in Stage 2 of the Return to Void, and making every effort to do so. Anthony takes a step forward at this moment. His momentum reached its peak directly. It looks like he's going to tear Kinzo apart. Hold on, Kinzo shouted loudly. Anthony almost couldn't stop the car in time. Next, Kinzo could be heard slowly muttering, "Engage in a duel. Then we should establish some rules first." Starting to engage in a duel without any rules like this may not be in line with the strict style of doing things at the Dragon Palace. Anthony's face immediately darkened. Why is this person so troublesome? So after they laid down some rules, engage in a duel became much more formal. Anthony made a second attempt to charge. But before Kinzo could halt him once again at a key point for his spiritual power operation, he resorted to the same old trick. This time, it almost caused Anthony's aura to reverse. Kinzo chuckled. "Prince, your highness, how about we settle this with a literary duel?" Anthony angrily cursed. He dashed forward with dark eyes swirling around his body. Kinzo hurriedly activated the soaring dragon cloud-seeking steps, appearing as if he was about to be defeated immediately. Anthony's face turned black with anger. What's going on? Is it so difficult to counterattack head-on? Is he too aggressive? He must have frightened the other person. Anthony starts to slow down his pace. Every time he charges, he is full of momentum. But once he gets in front of Kinzo, he unintentionally slows down his punching speed. Then, he deliberately exposes his vulnerability to invite a strike. Kinzo continues to dodge. Anthony was left baffled by this move. Can you strike me down? As you wish. Kinzo doesn't want to lose too quickly. This will allow those who are observant to see something. He casually threw out a few talismans and made hand seals with both hands. He sprayed out a series of fiery snakes towards the front. Anthony rushed straight towards him without even trying to dodge. These are all child's play in his eyes. He decided to perform again to make the battle more exciting. His figure instantly broke through these ordinary flames. Kenzo first appeared very shocked. Then his expression gradually became panicked. His footsteps were also somewhat awkward. Anthony took a look. He immediately launched a close pursuit towards Kenzo. Faced with the flames unleashed by Talisman, he also fully accepted them. At this moment, the two of them went all out in using Talisman, one going all out in ranged attacks, and the other engaging in a frenzied close combat. The scene was exceptionally explosive. In the blink of an eye, the two sides engaged in dozens of rounds of combat. Anthony found it increasingly strange as the fight went on. He clearly exposed his vulnerabilities to the opponent. But the other party either deliberately avoided his key points, dared not act against him, the Dragon Palace Prince, or truly lacked the strength to seize his weaknesses. Fortunately, he had specifically endured so many attacks. He will soon perform his own act. The ultimate confrontation between the human race and the dragon is terrifying. They not only do not seek victory, but also constantly contemplate how they will be defeated. Let's see which home the Oscar Best Actor award will go to. At this moment, Kenzo is standing at the edge of the ring. He has been pushed into a corner. The script has played out almost to its end. It's time to wrap it up. Heavenly Dawn 5 Thunder Mystic Art. The lighting flashed on the stage for a moment. This can only be considered a slightly higher level method in the Immortal sect. It is not too powerful. The two collided with each other. Their facial expressions can definitely be described as Best Actor level. Anthony's natural, sensitive combat instinct at this moment. Surprisingly, he felt a hint of danger. At the same time, Kenzo was also a little confused. This guy's fist seemed to have no strength at all. Even so, Kenzo still wants to claim the title of Best Actor. He staggered backwards, his body leaning back, taking a few steps back. He used a clever move, gently pushing aside Anthony's punch. Then he pretended to slip under his feet. He happened to fall right at the boundary he had marked earlier. It has to be you. No one can beat you when it comes to being shameless. Kenzo coughed a few times in a hurry. His face was full of a look of disappointment. I lost again. My skills are not as good as others. I need to go back and cultivate well. Maybe I feel that my acting skills are not enough. He gave himself internal injuries by holding it in. A mouthful of blood spurted out. This move completely confused Anthony. Anthony was planning to admit defeat in this move as well. But now, Kenzo unexpectedly surrendered first. Everyone was dumbfounded. He still hasn't snapped out of it until now. He actually surrendered even faster than admitting defeat himself. What on earth is going on with this person? Doesn't this cultivator want to win? Meanwhile, Turtle Chancellor was excitedly shouting on the side. Congratulations, Prince Your Highness, this match is won by our prince. Before he could finish speaking, Anthony went crazy. Waking up Dragon perfectly is the most important step. How could you concede defeat early, you lad? I even leaned my face over for you to hit. You really have no sense of sportsmanship. Anthony suddenly tilted his head back and sprayed dragon blood wildly. I apologize for being unable to describe the vastness of the volume of that blood. He cried out in unwillingness, exclaiming the power of the impressive talisman method. I am not your match. After saying that, his body fell straight down. He fell unconscious in a pool of blood. Life is like a play, and success depends on acting skills. Kenzo is completely confused right now. Dragon Bro, your acting skills are obviously not up to par. At best, it can be considered entry level. In an instant, a group of dragon sages swarmed around. Chancellor was at a loss. Because the dragon blood sprayed was just too exaggerated. He couldn't control it at all. Kenzo felt the gazes of many sages from the Dragon Palace locked onto himself. The hostility was becoming stronger. What exactly does the Prince of Dragon Palace plan to accomplish with his confusing behavior? This person's acting is really fake. But after all, his identity is there. Kenzo quickly pondered a countermeasure. He, as a qualified oddball, must be adept at disguising himself. But Emmy does not think so. Anyone who dares to bully her husband will be shown no mercy. They saw a Dragon Palace sage looking at them with hostility. Julia quickly stood in front of Kenzo. After all, no one knows the extent of the Dragon Prince's injuries now. If anything unexpected happens, the dragon will definitely not let it go easily. Julia asked with concern about how Kenzo is doing. If something happens to Kenzo, 100 lives will not be enough for the other party. He is currently calculating his response in his heart. Then the Shadow Emperor came online again. He first lowered himself with a look of shame. Then he began to flatter both Prince Your Highness and the dragon. Immediately after, his face changed to a look of concern and worry. He attributed Prince's injury to aura disarray caused by his excessive strength. He even pretended to ask Masters Jr. for help in diagnosing. Inside the Dragon Palace, sages are as numerous as clouds. How could they fail to diagnose such a minor illness? But his actions just praised the dragon. He infected everyone with his sincere attitude. The Dragon Palace's sages' hostility towards him instantly decreased significantly. Soon after, the Turtle Chancellor, who initially supported Anthony, breathed a sigh of relief. Your Highness's spiritual power just momentarily went off track. He fainted but should wake up unharmed later. As for the competition, how should it be counted? Fortunately, Kenzo doesn't need to worry about it this time. An elder from the Immortal Salvation sect stepped forward. Naturally, Prince Your Highness won. The result is clear at a glance. In addition, here is the Immortal Sect's secret chi pill room as a token of goodwill from our Immortal Salvation sect. The Dragon Palace General has accepted the pill room, so the matter concludes with Anthony's victory. However, he was still unconscious when carried away. If he found out, he would probably be outraged directly. Anthony vomited so much dragon blood in just 1 second. Julia looks at Kenzo with disappointment, saying, "You're just not making any progress. Why did you jump out of bounds? Just stayed there for a while earlier. You might have won directly." No. I really couldn't hold on at that time." Kenzo was a bit speechless. He just wanted to be quiet and peaceful. At this time, disciples of the sect spoke up for Kenzo one after another. It's clear that the Dragon Palace Prince is deliberately trying to cause trouble, and he deliberately chose Kenzo. Just watch later. I will definitely let the dragon who appears later know how powerful we are. And Emmy remained silent. She took out a handkerchief at this moment. She was constantly wiping her long sword. The expression on her face had already turned extremely cold. Especially her gaze seemed as if she wanted to swallow dragon alive. Kenzo was extremely scared. He was so frightened that he didn't dare to breathe. However, after some thought, he decided to pass on a word of advice. This is the Dragon Palace. We don't need to confront them head-on. If Ju, your sister, wants to take action, she still needs to exercise some restraint. Emmy did not change her mind because of Kenzo's advice. She decided to change her mind. Those who dare to bully her husband will be killed without mercy. At the Dragon Palace meeting that day, Immortal Salvation sect disciple Emmy stunned the crowd. She excels in swordsmanship and fire control. She even captured 4 immortal treasures. She defeated dozens of cultivators and injured 4 young dragon returned to Path Realm cultivators. She rose to fame in the Eastern continent from then on. The Dragon Palace's arena competition offers 12 levels of immortal treasure as the ultimate reward. Engage in a duel to defend and challenge the arena. If someone can defend the arena 9 times in a row and defeat the arena master sent by the Dragon Palace, they can claim the immortal treasure. The arena master is a group of young dragons. Cultivation achievement is equivalent to a return to Path Realm 2nd stage cultivator at a normal level. After the great battle, the younger generation of disciples on the scene looked at her in shock. They don't understand why this woman is fighting so hard. She uses tactics of sacrificing herself to kill 1,000 enemies. Emmy puts the immortal treasure she obtained into her bag. Then, under the amazed gaze of everyone, she dragged her exhausted body step by step towards Kenzo. She gently placed the immortal treasure in front of the man. But the consumption of spiritual power is significant. Her delicate body can no longer support it. Kenzo reached out to help her. But Emmy knew that Kenzo couldn't touch a woman's illness. She summoned up the last bit of strength. She braced her palm against the table. She hastily dodged. At this moment, Kenzo's gaze is extremely complex. Words can no longer express his inner feelings. He started to get angry when Emmy came to find him. He just wanted to be left alone. He really didn't want this trouble. But gradually he was influenced by this strong-willed and passionate woman. Thus, Kenzo could only clench his fist deeply as he watched Emmy's back. The falling flowers show love, while the flowing water is indifferent. In another magnificent underwater palace, lying on a large bed, Prince suddenly opened his eyes. He reached out and grabbed the maid beside him, excitedly asking, "Did I lose? Did I lose?" The maid was dumbfounded. He shouldn't have asked. "Did I win, Your Highness?" "You don't need to worry. You won this round." "What? How could it be?" "I clearly." Anthony looked extremely stunned. The next second, a scream was heard in the room. "Come quickly. Your Highness has passed out again." The battle between Kenzo and Anthony's epilepsy has been going on for 3 days. The demon-slaying convention has also ended successfully. The fake leader Kenzo sits in the corner. At this point, he has already been considered honorably discharged. No one will pay attention to him anymore. This little disturbance has also temporarily come to an end. From this bizarre event, Kenzo once again decided to keep a low profile, even lower than before. He lamented that he was still too young. He underestimated the complexity of Dragon Heart. This matter was not thoroughly considered. But who would have thought that Anthony's ways would be so wild? He even wanted to deliberately lose to him. Fortunately, he took a step out of bounds and conceded defeat in advance. Otherwise, I don't know what chaos would have ensued. Next time he decides to face a similar situation, he should just punch himself, beat himself to a serious injury, and then leave the field directly. Emmy collected all 4 treasures she had won and put them into her bag. In front of the crowd, she placed the immortal treasure in front of Kenzo. But these 4 immortal treasures are like a hot potato. He doesn't want them. It's good that Kenzo reacted promptly. He immediately asked Julia Masters Jr. to temporarily take care of them after they return. He also asked her to pass it to Emmy's Master Jane Sr. sect uncle. Just left the area of the EC. Julia, now obediently turned back into a gentle fairy, stayed obediently by the master's side. Asher is very satisfied with Kenzo's performance this time. He asked Julia to pass this jade token to him as a reward for this time. Julia quickly flew down from the sky. Her pretty face was full of smiles. Then she couldn't help looking Kenzo up and down. Strange. Why would my master praise you with 2 more words than he praises Emmy? Kenzo couldn't help but be surprised. He quickly waved his hand and declined, not daring to accept it. Could it be that Asher has seen through his true cultivation achievement? It shouldn't be like that. He should question himself why he didn't strive for the glory of the sect, instead of praising him for no reason. Julia told him that Master said the Dragon Palace Prince was intentionally severely injured. He originally wanted to take this opportunity to challenge the Immortal Salvation sect. If you hadn't seen through it and conceded first, we might not be able to return this time. Hearing this, Kenzo felt a huge weight lifted off his heart instantly. He then awakened suddenly. Originally, he thought that Prince just wanted to humiliate the Dragon Palace in return, so that he could reverse the current bad atmosphere of the Dragon Palace. Now he found that the height he stood on was never high enough. He is a bit biased. I really didn't expect such malicious calculations behind this. And Asher actually saw through the whole conspiracy of Dragon Palace. He really deserves the high level and vision of a heaven immortal. It's just so different from the perspectives of these small shrimps. Soon, Julia threw a jade token over. This is for you. It is a reward from the master for you, not included in the rewards of the sect. He hurriedly took the jade token and examined it closely. The jade token actually contains detailed instructions for an advanced thunder technique. True art of Luo Heaven's solar thunder. After a brief moment of contemplation, he quickly handed back the jade token. Instead, he was more interested in the true threefold flame cultivate technique. Julia looked at the centuries-old Kenzo cultivate in shock. She had never heard of such absurd things before. But she still went. Asher paid no attention to it. He also did not take back the jade token. Instead, he also gave him the jade token of true threefold flame. Nowadays, he has obtained the outline of essence flame, divine flame, chi flame, and cultivate. Kenzo looked excitedly at this true threefold flame. As long as he strengthens his spirit and body according to the ancient records. So when he faces heavenly tribulation in the future, he gained a few more assurances. This trip to the East Sea was really worthwhile. He probably never imagined that one day the illusionary array he set up would trap his own master within it. Above the white clouds, short songs echo. After crossing the tribulation, the Taoist attains immortality. He secluded himself to cultivate for more than 10 years. It must have been quite boring. Just as he was about to push the door open, suddenly he seemed to have remembered something. So he decided to visit Little Peak first, taking a look at the scenery in various places. But what he didn't know was, at this moment, there were many letters left in the house. On the table, on the cushion, on the bed, and at positions where one could see by looking up at the beams. A letter is carefully placed everywhere. Kenzo is afraid that Master won't see it. However, he also miscalculated. He never expected that Master would not reply to his favorite hut. The content of the letter is actually very simple. He was sent to the East Sea and will return in about 7 to 8 days. In the end, he advised Master not to go to the back for the time being. There are many illusionary arrays and spell formations near the newly built pill room. He had already activated most of them before he left. However, there is a spell formation on the outer perimeter of the pill room. Rain Taoist stood there with a distracted look. Is this really the familiar Little Peak to me? He stood there bewildered, looking at the 3 pads in front of him. I won't hide it from everyone. He has been here for several days. However, his level of formation technique is very limited. No matter what, he couldn't find his way out. He could only try to recall the route he had circled before. In a daze, Rain Taoist seemed to have found a new path in his confusion. He moved forward cautiously. This time, he quickly saw a wooden sign. The wooden sign was hanging on the top of a tree in front. The wooden sign reads, "Lost?" Rain nodded subconsciously. Then, he carefully studied that wooden sign. He always had a feeling of familiarity with the handwriting. But he couldn't remember where he had seen it before. Then, he took 2 steps forward. Another wooden sign. What was written on that wooden sign? What are you doing at Little Peak? I just live here. Rain Taoist angrily scolded at the wooden sign. Then he noticed another wooden sign behind the first one, so he took another step forward following the signs. You are a member of my Immortal Salvation sect, and you must comply with the rules and regulations of the sect. You have entered Little Peak without permission. The Taoist at the Little Peak Rain said disdainfully, looking at the sign. Do I still need permission to enter? I am the master of Little Peak. He hadn't walked a few steps when the wooden sign appeared again. Please refrain from damaging even a blade of grass here. This path leads to an open space without a soundproof formation. The Taoist of the Rain pondered silently. Could it be that this is the exit left by the person who set up the formation? He continued to walk along the wooden sign until he was standing in front of a wooden sign. Rain stopped in his tracks. He held his breath subconsciously and took 3 hesitant steps forward. The scenery in front of him changed once again. Where is this place? The original empty space was surrounded by thickets. It appeared in front of Rain. Not far away, there was a low table. Next to it, there was a bucket with a sign that read, "Please wait here if I'm not here. If you can't wait, you can shout outside for someone to come. Little Peak welcomes your visit sincerely. But next time, please come directly. Don't accidentally trespass near the pill room. Master Rain is here at Little Peak to pay respects." Rain's hands trembled. He widened his eyes and pointed at the wooden sign with his fingers. "This turns out to be something I set up myself. Since last time when the spell formation drove Jace Masters Jr. almost crazy, Kenzo made some changes to this chain formation. He left a way out for the guests. He didn't expect that the first person to experience it would be his own master." Rain Taoist's eyes widened. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. This formation turned out to be one that I had set up myself. Could it be that I have encountered something evil? No. Could it be related to the impurity of the impure immortal? The impure immortal is easily contaminated by earth chi. The Tao heart is prone to generating inner demons. Could it be that I am just the inner demon of the true Rain Taoist, causing him to almost lose his mind completely? He covered his ears with both hands, muttering constantly, "The flowing gap of time, impure immortal, inner demon." Then he felt a dizzy spell, suddenly unable to make out who he really was. He abruptly knelt down on the ground, firmly believing that he had entered the flowing gap of time, rather than being an inner demon. Rain Taoist hugged his head with both hands. He suddenly looked up and let out a loud shout. The sudden shout startled flocks of birds near and far around Little Peak. It also caught the attention of a figure passing through the sky in the distance, who curiously glanced at the jungle of Little Peak. Suddenly, a slightly surprised and suspicious female voice came from beside him. "Master!" Rain's shout abruptly stopped. He looked over with joy. He trembled as he asked, "Kaya, Master, are you trapped inside the formation?" Rain, the Taoist, was overjoyed to the point of tears. His eyes were on the verge of overflowing with tears. "You are truly," he said, without waiting for Kaya to respond. Rain Taoist hugged his head and shouted, "No, you might be my inner demon." Kaya was speechless for a while outside the formation. It seems that Master has been messed up by Senior Brother. She immediately had an idea after murmuring softly. She quickly said, "Please don't move. There are many formations inside. I'll go in and find you." Fortunately, Senior Brother had also taught her some formation techniques before he left. Rain Taoist was slightly stunned for a moment. This arrangement was made by Kenzo. Rain Taoist's eyes were filled with confusion. He also fell into contemplation about himself. Gradually, he calmed down. Half an hour later, Kaya appeared with a body covered in grass chips and fallen leaves. A somewhat disheveled Kaya appeared before Master. "Senior Brother, why have you set up so many traps?" Rain Taoist asked urgently. "These are all arranged by you, Senior Brother," Kaya replied. "I should say they were designed by Senior Brother. It was Immortal Julia from Sky Peak, Masters Jr., who set them up." Rain Taoist was surprised. "So this was designed by Kenzo," Kaya said proudly. "Julia, Masters Jr., doesn't know formation at all. It was Senior Brother who explained it to Masters Jr. word by word." Kaya paused for a moment, lowered her head, and said, "Master, have you really never noticed?" Rain Taoist looked at Kaya's face and asked, "What have you noticed? Do you like your Senior Brother?" Kaya's face instantly blushed bright red. Actually, what she wanted to tell Master was that Senior Brother is actually more capable and promising than Master had imagined. Kaya successfully entered the illusionary array following the formation technique taught by Senior Brother. She told Master that Senior Brother has actually taught her a lot since she entered the sect. Then she held out 2 fingers and asked Master, "Could you tell me at what stage my cultivation achievement is now?" Rain pondered for a moment and then replied, "Refining Chi Stage 9. Kaya raised both hands and pointed the sword forward. She made a complex hand seal. Her aura suddenly surged around her. "What now?" Rain's eyes widened. "Return to void." Stage 5. Kaya, when will you? She quickly made a hushing gesture. Shortly after, her aura quickly restrained. She whispered, "This is the turtle breath and chi regulation technique passed down by senior brother, which can conceal one's cultivation achievement as long as it is not perceived by those at the immortal level. It can be hidden and simulate the realm one wishes to reveal." The Taoist on her face was filled with shock. "I can't believe there is such a technique. How much did Kenzo hide from me?" After a moment, Rain asked somewhat anxiously, "Kaya, what do you think I should do? Should I praise your senior brother when he returns?" Kaya smirked mischievously and said, "Master, you'd better pretend that I didn't say anything to you today. Senior brother will come in to pick us up later. You just take the whisk and spank him on the butt." The two of them decided to play dumb together. Act in front of Kenzo. Kenzo has not even set foot back from the East Sea. The master's whisk came flying over, and the white net fell. Kenzo was securely tied up by the whisk. He wriggled like a caterpillar from side to side. Kaya reached out eagerly on the side. Kenzo looked on in horror, realizing that he had no chance to resist being controlled by junior sister. This also made it slightly difficult for Kaya to know where to start. She chuckled and raised both hands. In the end, her hands just landed on the spot where senior brother was struck by master. She gently rubbed it. Kenzo looked pleased. In his satisfaction, there was also a hint of helplessness. He earnestly advised with a bitter tone, "A girl must be modest. You may have desires, and you may have preferences. However, as a chi cultivator, you still need to restrain the impulses in your heart. What if this gives rise to an inner demon? What would you say?" "No, I'm just..." Kaya's pretty face turned red in an instant. She was a little flustered, trying to restrain herself as much as possible. She had a hesitant and awkward look, as if she wanted to say something but stopped herself. Kaya looked at him sullenly. "Senior brother, you're bullying people." Later, she didn't say a word and just bit right away. Junior sister must be born in the year of the rabbit, that's why she's so good at biting people. Kenzo yelled in pain. A gentleman fights with his hands, not his mouth. How come you suddenly started speaking so aggressively? If I can't outtalk you, should I resort to biting you? Kenzo quickly sought help from Master. "Master, could you please help figure out how junior sister can get married in the future?" Kaya immediately retorted that she wants you to mind your own business. "I will grow old and die at Little Peak." Master didn't say much, just told her to always show respect to senior brother. At the same time, Rain Taoist had already turned and left. He plans to start today to comprehend the method of cultivating the impure immortal in seclusion. Kenzo is responsible for managing everything on Little Peak. Feel free to come and seek me for advice if you have important matters to discuss. The two of them listened attentively to Master's teaching. These words made Kenzo feel like Master knew something. After he left, Kenzo turned around. There was a meaningful look in his eyes. "You told Master, didn't you?" Kaya suddenly felt a little guilty and became evasive for a while. "Just a little bit." Kenzo continued to pursue with a stern face. "Is it really just a little bit?" Kaya, with a strong survival instinct, said loudly, "It must be just a little bit." Then he took Kaya into the house and asked, "What did you tell Master?" As they entered, Kaya's body trembled slightly, and her little face immediately drooped. She instantly switched to a teary-eyed mode and said, "Senior brother, it was actually all because Master forced me to." After she entered her thatched hut, she moved a cushion and sat cross-legged on her knees. She lowered her head and pretended to cry. Her entire movements were seamless. Junior sister beat around the bush while conveying the message to Master. Kenzo couldn't deal with her. He still has to pamper his own junior sister. But he didn't really care in the first place. After all, the junior sister's knowledge is limited. Based on his understanding of Kaya's personality, he had a premonition about today's situation a long time ago. When it is late at night and quiet, the formation around the pill room is completely activated. He sat in the room thinking about the principle of not standing out while bearing the title of God Great Tribulation. Naturally, he hoped to quietly cultivate to the great Luo Golden Immortal within the Immortal sect, but that would require accumulating for a long time. As a part of the Trinity Immortal sect, the Immortal Salvation sect, he is very likely to be affected by the title of God Great Tribulation. This the title of God Great Tribulation involves the three realms of existence, and it is a great tribulation specifically for disciples. But Kenzo did have a way to avoid this great tribulation. The only way was to get ashore early. The title of God Great Tribulation is actually the process by which the Heavenly Court's Jade Emperor establishes dominion over heaven and earth. On the surface, the Jade Emperor goes to the Taoist Patriarch to cry out for help. He said that the disciple of the Trinity sect was disrespectful and did not follow the orders of the Heavenly Court in a domineering manner. He, as the ruler of the three realms of existence, has a reputation that does not match reality. He lacks the dignity of a man and cannot even raise his head in front of the Queen Mother of the West's junior sister. The man's power and prestige have been greatly diminished. But from the results of conferring the title of God, disciples of the Trinity sect enter the Heavenly Court as gods. Saints no longer manifest actively in the world. This has solidified the foundation for the management of the three realms of existence by the Heavenly Court. So as long as he infiltrates the Heavenly Court early and becomes an elder during the difficult period of the Heavenly Court, he doesn't need to hold any high position. He can just hide his cultivation achievements and be a low-ranking official. The goal is to be listed in the roster of Heavenly Court Immortals. He failed to confer the title of God during the Great Tribulation. He has long been in the Heavenly Court, and his immortal status has nothing to do with this tribulation. How could the calamity of confer the title of God fall on his head again? So he decided to wait for the title of God to be appointed by the Heavenly Court. At that time, the Heavenly Court was full of talents. He could then take advantage of the situation and retreat into seclusion with the flow. This way, he could obtain the qualifications of the elders in the Heavenly Court. He can also return to this sect to continue cultivating peacefully. Why not do it? Nowadays, making Master the God of Land and Wealth is a crucial step. This can save him a lot of calculations. Maybe the Master can give him some benefits. It depends on whether the Master is willing.